Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. This whole Rishi Sunak debacle is entering its fourth day now. It seems that the Prime Minister, who has gone missing for 3 days and hasn't talked to anyone, is continuing to hide. Apparently, there's going to be a massive meeting with all his advisors today, with advice being given as to what sort of action needs to be taken. Ideally, he resigns. But more of that in a moment. You see, they are desperate to try and put this behind them. Mel Stride, as I've mentioned in a previous video, has come out and defended the Prime Minister. Now, Liam Fox has come out and said, people have moved on from this. No, Liam Fox, people have not moved on from this. In much the same way as when, during the Michael Matheson affair, Humza Yousaf said, I've drawn a line under it, that's it, we're moving on. That ended up costing both men their jobs because people aren't prepared to just listen to what a politician says and move on. They want answers. They want actions. And so Liam Fox, no, we aren't drawing a line under it. We aren't moving on. We want something done. Now, of course, in the meantime, they'll try the usual tactic of distraction. They're going to announce their manifesto. It will be filled with what we can do is this. Let's do some tax cuts there. Tax cuts which magically are affordable now, and yet 6 months ago weren't. Odd that, isn't it? And they're talking about, we're going to stop the immigration, which they've singularly failed to do. And, we're going to increase police numbers, which they could have done a long time ago, but decided not to. It's magic, absolutely fascinating how these things can suddenly be possible just as an election is looming into view and just as they're trying to distract everybody's attention from this massive, massive cock-up by Rishi Sunak. But I'm not letting it go, and neither are you, and neither, it seems, is anybody else. For the opposition parties, of course, this is just delicious. They are getting their teeth into this, and they are biting hard. And they're not going to let go. They're going to be like little Rottweilers, aren't they? Growl. Never going to go. And so Rishi will have his meeting today, and Rishi will come out of it with one of two plans. Either he will resign, or he won't. And you know what? Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. With just over 3 weeks to go, nobody sees anything other than complete and utter defeat for the Tories. The only difference is, do they go down massively or do they go down very massively? Either way, they're not likely to do it well at all. They have a problem, though, and the problem is, how do you change the leader? Now, there is no mechanism for ousting Rishi Sunak, because the only way to oust him is for a significant number of people to write to the 1922 committee. But those people have to be MPs. And currently, there are no MPs. And therefore, there cannot be any kind of MP-led rebellion to oust Rishi Sunak as a leader. Now, we'll just talk about leader for a moment. However, there is the mechanism for him to just resign as leader. And if he does, he's got two options. One, he resigns as leader but stays on in name only until a replacement is found. Or two, he resigns and walks away from being leader. If that's the first one, that's fine. He can resign as leader in name and just wait around until after the election and they get their MPs and all 37 MPs or whatever, and they have to pick a leader out of those 37 MPs. Because it's pointless picking a leader before the election, because there's no guarantee that leader will be still there after. And so that's what's likely, probably, to do should he resign as leader. If, however, he resigns and walks away, it becomes very much more a difficult prospect. The only thing then, really, is that there is a special meeting from the executive board of the Tory party who will impose a leader. But that leader will only be temporary. But the only person, really, who could do that would have to be a Tory Lord, because he or she would be the only person still in Parliament, because Lords obviously don't lose their position at a general election. Ideally, then, as far as they're looking at, it would be Lord Cameron. There you go, your new leader of the party. Of course, he would only do it temporarily, perhaps, until the MPs are back. Then they have their vote and they choose who the next permanent leader would be out of the sort of 37, 38, 39 MPs they have. And that's as far as it goes as being leader of the Tory party. But here's the thing. What about Prime Minister? Should Rishi Sunak resign as Prime Minister? Again, two options. He either says, I'll resign as Prime Minister but stay on until the election, or he resigns and walks. Now, again, if he resigns the role officially, he says, but he will stay in post until the election, all's very fine and pleasant, and that's there. If he resigns and walks, there's a bit of a constitutional crisis, because the Prime Minister must be someone that the King appoints as Prime Minister, someone who can command a majority. But no Tory MP is likely to command a majority, because there is no majority. There's no MPs. Now, you do have the role of Deputy Prime Minister, but that's only a title. It's not an official role within the UK Constitution. So whoever the Deputy Prime Minister is nothing. It's not a real position. And so what do you do? Do you manage without a Prime Minister? Constitutionally, very difficult. The King can appoint, again, a Prime Minister pro tem. It's within his gift. But again, who's the only member of Parliament that exists? It'd have to be a Lord. And again, who's it likely to be? Well, Lord Cameron again. It's a weird situation, isn't it? You'd have a Prime Minister from the Lords, not unheard of, happened before, but it would be the shortest prime ministerialship in history. A matter of 2 days, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, something like that. It's one of those weird constitutional things that throws up. Of course, it's unlikely that Rishi Sunak will resign. He's too filled with his own sense of ego and worth and value. He'll stay on to the bitter end. Also, of course, because if he gets voted out, he gets about £15,000 or £20,000 redundancy money. And he's not one to shun that, is he? Greedy feckers, aren't they? One and all. But it does go to show how desperate things are within the Tory party. They daren't get rid of the party leader. They can't get rid of the party leader. And should the party leader resign, it opens up whole cans of worms, both for the party and the country. And yet, I don't think there's a single person who wants him to stay. Certainly none of the opposition do. Certainly most people within the Tory party want him to go. And remember, this was a man who was rejected by the rank and file members in the first place. They would be only too pleased to see him sod off quickly over to America with his untaxed billions and his green card. Oh, how hard it is. And yet they will continue to distract us. Look over there. Look, shiny new policies. Don't look over here. Don't look at our Prime Minister, who walked away and embarrassed this country tremendously on the international stage. Let me know what you think. Thanks a lot. Bye.